Good evening, everyone, and thank you so very, very much for joining Charms Many Helps Foundation in its first annual Black Health and History Month event. Yes, we will be doing this annually, and we will be coming to you with the same level of senior subject expertise that we have come to you thus far, and will continue to come to you through the month of February. Now, today we have with us a very, very special guest. She is a senior subject matter expert in plenty of things, most notably the Women After the Storm group that she has started and that she founded 4 years ago. So when I heard about this WATS group that she started, I was like, okay, well, what happened to women before the storm? Right? What about us? Like before we
Right?
get started, right? We need help. Like I'm have been happily married for 30 years, but heck,
Yeah.
31 years ago, I wish someone ever came to me. Now, mind you, through my church, I did have to go through the marriage counseling classes, but even then, talking to other sisters that have already been married, meeting up with them on a regular basis, perhaps that would have, given me some additional insight into what I've actually experienced over the past 30 years.
Right.
Nevertheless, we are here today. And when we talk about the Chalmers Medi Helps Foundation, what do they do? What are they all about? Why were they formed? We were formed because there was a need in our community to actually address some of the health challenges that we seem to see in over an abundance of. And we were put together to address those populations where this imbalance in healthcare is notably at. And
Hmm.
that includes women. When we say our mission is to help ensure that the vulnerable, the under resourced, and disabled have access to the best health outcomes. Well, women, we fall prey to being under resourced, and we fall prey to being in that vulnerable community that we address. So
Yeah.
it made perfect sense for me to ask Charnel to, could she come on and address what her group does, what her nonprofit does, what do they do to help women who are going through, have went through, and just seem
Hmm.
really to want to give up, because none
Hmm.
of us should be giving up. Not,
Exactly.
absolutely none. But in our community, what happens so often is that people don't realize that we are, that there's resources, that there's
Yeah.
options. The
Yeah.
number one complaint that I hear all the time, or I'm not even going to say complaint, but the number one thought process that I hear all the time is, Sandra, but there's no place for us to go. But there is. We just have to get better at explaining it. Should not no not only just explaining it, but sometimes holding their hand and walking them through these
Through
groups,
it. Hmm.
walking them
Hmm.
through the resources, helping them understand how to use the resources.
Hmm.
And so once again, Charnel fit that spot, you know,
Yeah.
100%. So I had
Hmm.
to ask her, and she graciously said, "Sure,
Yeah.
Sandra, what
Hmm.
day? Let's get this together because I would love to share our story." So,
Yes.
and the C is on, and she's saying, "Good evening, ladies, and good evening, Miss
Hi,
C.
Dr.
You."
C.
I certainly appreciate you tuning in, and certainly appreciate the support that you're giving.
Yes.
So, I'm going to
Absolutely.
go ahead and actually introduce Miss Charnell Conley Baxter. She is currently employed at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. She has been with the organization for 8 years, working in the appeals department as a quality review specialist. She's been in the same department for 8 years. So guess what? That means that whoever her leader is doing a heck of a fine job and keeping
Yes.
her here for
Oh,
eight
I
years.
love
So
her.
we women, we got issues going on at home, at work,
Oh,
wherever
yes.
it is, we got issues. So if we're at a job that we're gonna be at more than we're gonna be at home, if
We gotta love it.
being led by if we're being
We
led
gotta love
by
it.
somebody that doesn't that they have management skills, but they don't have leadership skills.
And it's
That
a
makes
difference.
it extremely difficult for us as
Mm-hmm.
employees to be able to remain there by actually giving 110%. So her management ought to be, and they should be thought of high esteem. The
They
company
are.
really needs to hold on to leaders who are managers who fit
Mm-hmm.
that role, right? None of us want to work for a manager that's just managing people.
Yeah.
Anybody can do that. We want
Yeah.
to
You're
be
right.
led by somebody that's a leader and a manager, right? So she's
Yes.
been there for 8
Absolutely.
years in the same position, speaks
Same
highly of
position.
her and of
Mm-hmm.
her leadership. 4
Mm-hmm.
years ago, she was inspired by a vision from God to create a women's group aimed at supporting women who have been in difficult relationships or marriages.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, Charnel, we needed a before.
A before group, right? I
We
know.
needed a look. We did the before, the during, and and if we
After.
have to make it to the after group, make it to the after group. But let's like proactively plan on doing
Right.
before and during, so that we don't have to ever see the after
Yes.
everything, right?
Absolutely.
She is the founder and CEO of WATS, which is Women After the Storm, a group that has been active for 4 years and has over 300 members. Our group engages in monthly networking activities with local business women and also conducts biannual visits to women's shelters to provide essential items. Her ultimate goal is to expand the group's reach to various rehabilitation and recovery facilities to support as many women as possible. And that is one of the reasons why it's important for us to have her here tonight during Black History Month, because it's not, color. Harm and pain comes no matter what color you are. It comes.
Absolutely.
But in our community, there's an overabundance of it when it shouldn't be. In
Yes.
outreaching and appearing on special organizations, special podcasts, special, events,
Mm-hmm.
seminars, videos, she's actually able to reach more people. Once again, that's a good leader skill, because she
Yes.
wants to reach those people so that she can teach them what they need to know in order to be able to handle or better themselves, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
And once again, she wants to support as many women as possible. So if you're looking at this video tonight, if you're looking at this video once it goes up on LinkedIn, if you're looking at this video and it's on YouTube or on our website platform where you can get access to it, you want to reach out to her, you want her to come and talk to your organization, your group, despite your color, please
Yeah.
reach out. You can reach out directly to her, or you could send me a DM or a message to LinkedIn. Say, hey, Sandra, we really want to talk to Charnel. How can we get a hold of her? How can we reach her? How can we get in touch with her? Please reach out, because that's what this month has been all about. All the events that we have hosted this month have been to shed the light, spread the love, and incorporate as many people and reach as many people as we can to make sure
Yes.
that our community going forth, we're doing what our ancestors wanted us to do. They couldn't do it.
Right.
Could you close your eyes and imagine, just imagine what
Yeah.
a woman, especially an African American woman, especially an educated African American woman, 40 years ago, not even 40 years ago, imagine it 10 years ago, her trying to
10.
stand up and
Mm-hmm.
standing up and speaking to the community and telling
Mm-hmm.
them the things that they need to tell them that nobody else is telling them. Imagine what they went through. Just imagine. Just close
I
your eyes
couldn't.
and imagine. If you're
Mm-hmm.
anything like me, you shudder just to
Yeah.
think of what they had to go through to actually outreach and help each other. So
Absolutely.
wanted to, and she serves as a spokesperson for women who have overcome their struggles. So once again, if you need somebody to talk to women, if you need somebody to look, if you need somebody to talk to a man about how you should be treating a woman, holla.
That's it. Yeah.
She is
Yeah.
ready. The woman she leads are ready to
Yeah.
help you in any way you can. Because look, we got to. We don't have a choice in our community. We have to continue to uplift the Black queens that are in our community. So without
Yes.
further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Miss Charnell Conley Baxter. Let her tell us all about Watts. Let us tell all about her, period. We want to know so
Okay.
much about what's going on in her world. So Charnel,
Okay.
it's you.
Thank you, Mrs. Washington, for that wonderful, wonderful introduction. I really do appreciate it. So, like she said, my name is Charnel Conley Baxter, and the name of my group is called the W.A.T.S, which is Women After the Storm. So, before we go after the storm, I'm going to explain something to you before I got to this part in my life. So, I was married for 16 years. And out of those 16 years, we lived together for 6, separated for 10, and I've been divorced now for about 7 years. Okay. Out of that marriage, I have 3 beautiful, healthy, happy teenagers, which I love and adore. And they are teenagers, so we already know what that entails, right? However, when I was married, Miss Washington, I was in the, what did they call them? Like the first wives clubs, that we would sit around and we would talk about our husbands, what we had to do as wives, how we were managing our children, especially when you have more than one. I'm sorry, my dog is barking, but I actually, was in that group as well. But when I realized that my marriage was not working, and I knew that I was at the time, it was at the time that it was like, okay, either I'm going to sink or swim. Either we're going to stay together and work it out, or it's time for me to leave. So, needless to say, I went ahead and we departed ways. Yes, we tried to reconcile and just do the marriage and for the kids' sake. But sometimes as a woman, you need your sanity and your peace more than anything. Okay. So within the 10 years that we were separated, um, this Watts group and this vision that God had given me had been sitting on me for years. But I knew that I had to get past my marriage and get a divorce before I can move forward with the actual vision that God gave me. So I'm the type of person that if I'm going to be a leader, if I'm going to teach someone something, if I'm going to tell them the things and the stories that I've been through, um, I can't be a hypocrite. I have to make sure all my ducks are in a row. So I said, okay, Charnel, you have to be divorced and have that door closed out of your life in order to move forward with what you're going to do in your future. So, um, WATS is an acronym for Women After the Storm. So the women who are in our group are women who have been through divorce. They've been through um, just emotional and mental and even physical harm in a relationship. Okay. So supporting one another, encouraging one another, and helping one another, I feel is very, very beneficial for for people to move on and for women to learn. So I decided to start the group. Our only platform that we have now is through Facebook. It's a private group because the conversations that we do have are intimate, and it's private because we don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable when they're talking in the group. So last year we had a Christmas party, and sometimes as a leader you get discouraged because there are things that you want to do and you don't have the support that you really want. And then you want to throw your hands up and say, forget it, I'm not doing it. And I really have some great women in my group that still keeps the group going, still give the encouraging words, still give the posts for people to know that we're there. And I'm very grateful for them. But when I had the Christmas party and the women that were there were so happy that we were still moving forward and doing things, and that I was an encouragement to them, I knew I couldn't stop. I knew that it was bigger than me. So what we do every month. So for instance, for the month of January, we had a Zoom vision board party. So the Zoom vision board party, what we did was I had them to come up with creative boards and not flyers, but just a board to actually show themselves of what they were going to do for the whole entire year. And then what I think I want to do is kind of go back maybe in July, do another Facebook Live in the group, and then see if anyone has accomplished anything that they set out for themselves, whether it was saving money, whether it was losing weight, because physical parts of our body needs to be taken care of the older that we get. Mental health is very important, and I think that's something that we shy away from in our community because it's like a plague if we don't want to get medical, I mean, like mental health or going to see a therapist and things like that. So I think that's very important. And then we're going to come back like in 6 months, like I said, and then go over what we decided of what we had on our boards. And so mine is still sitting downstairs in my basement because I look at it every day because I'm like, okay, these are the things that I'm going to set up for myself and achieve at least two or three of them, you know. So for February, we did a self-love Valentine Day party. Now the months are cold, so we do everything, in the group live. But then once the months warm up, we're gonna go ahead and start getting together, and then we're gonna branch out and really like go into the communities. Okay. And so we do have 1 hour of power. We have Bible study because I do believe that the head of anything that's in my life, God is first. And I have very powerful leaders and women that are in my group who are fortunate enough and they love me enough to actually pray in the group for us and for the women in the group as well. So for March, we are having a speaker, and Miss Washington, you should know her personally as well, Miss Velda Miles. Do you remember her? So she actually wrote a book, and we're going to support her in the month of March to read her book and just go over her story. She's a woman after the storm, and I
Right.
think her story is phenomenal of
It
what she's
is.
been through. It's phenomenal. So I like to try to put women in the group who and everybody that's in the group that I know, and then people do tag other women. Um, have been a part of my life somewhere, whether it was work, whether it was church, whether it was college, high school. So I'm just grateful that women are receptive of my vision and what I want to do moving forward. So just a couple of more things. Like in May, we're going to do like a Mother's Day celebration. And then in the fall, every month there's something as far as what's going on in that month. Like for September, is Suicide Prevention Month. And I want to encourage the women to really be okay to tell their stories. There's women in there who are breast cancer survivors. Domestic Violence Awareness Month is in October. Um, so those are the things that I want them to do because my motto is that everybody has a story to tell. Everybody has a story to tell. And it's up to me and leaders who are ready to allow those women to come forth. So 2 years ago, there's a women's shelter called Deborah's Place, and it's here in my local town. And what we normally do is go there, and then we provide them with toiletries for women, whether it's toothbrushes, toothpaste, anything that's small that's in a bag. And then, unfortunately, like the place there, we aren't able to sit down and really talk to the women because they are a lot of them have been in domestic violence relationships and their privacy has to be kept quiet. So we really didn't see them. But The facility was really nice, and the people who worked there, like the director, was more than happy to receive the gifts that we had for the women. Um, and you know, for me, even like the women that are in my group, I want to build them up and encourage them. So then when it's time for us to hit bigger platforms, to even, I want to go even into the prisons where there are women out there that they have stories to tell. And my thing to that is, just because they're in prison does not mean any on that side too. It's the decisions that you make. And I want to be able to minister to them, to have the women of Watts to go into those type of facilities and talk to them and encourage them and love on them and let them know that, you're not alone. And just because I'm on the outside doesn't mean that, I couldn't be here as well. So that's my ultimate vision, with this group, to actually go to those high facilities like that and really work with those kind of women. Yeah.
I do have two questions that I do want to ask. Before I do
Uh-huh.
that, I will acknowledge Carolyn Coleman is with us. She's saying hello, everyone. Hello, Carolyn Coleman. And Dr.
Hello.
Sharon C says, so proud of you, sis. She's really proud of you. I am
Yeah.
extremely proud of you as well. I mean,
Thank
we met
you.
through a working environment. You were
Yeah.
my former lead, and when we worked at Everest College, which is now defunct, but that's
Yeah.
how we came to know each other. And at the time
Yeah.
that we came to know each other, you were growing and I was growing. And
Yes.
so we both were on that growing path. We both had visions that were in the back of our minds that we wanted to see our students succeed, because our students came from those very areas that we're touching upon now. Many of
Yeah.
those students may even have be in, be ones now that actually need that help, because of the fact that they don't have a school, they don't have a teacher that they can go talk
Right.
to, say, hey, I'm going through this. And without that, I mean, it's the same thing as the removal of DEI. You remove that, and then that gives people no place to go to talk to, right? It
Right.
gives them no outlet. Here you are, working with the less fortunate, the vulnerable, and the under-resourced, because they're already living in under-resourced communities. Many are already
Absolutely.
living there, right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
where they go, they need help, right?
Exactly.
I mean,
Where
and
do they
mental
go?
health, I tell people this all the time. Mental health and physical health, health is health. You can't
Yes.
have good mental health if you don't have good physical health, and you can't have good physical health if you don't have
Don't have
good
mental.
mental health. So what
Right.
you just described to us as, what you do with the women in Watts is to be commended, because
Thank
a
you.
lot of times people don't get that, right? They don't get the fact that, oh, well, we need to talk about both of them together. They have a
Yes.
mental health group here, and okay, well, you don't mentally health, mentally sick, you need to go to see your own medical doctor. Your medical
Right.
doctor can't help you to decipher where those problems are coming from. You
Absolutely.
they just can't. So I commend you as well for the work you're doing going for now and going forward. I do want to
Thank
ask,
you.
do you have women from outside of, you're in Illinois, the foundation, or I should say the group, is based
Hmm.
in Illinois. Do you have women from outside of Illinois that have never been to Illinois before, don't have any connections other than the fact that they need help? Do you have some of those women in the Watts group? And I'm not sure what just happened, Charnel, but you're frozen. Let's give it just a few moments to see what happens, because I'm really not sure what happened with her computer. Bear with us for just a few moments while she signs in and then back on. We're going to give it just a few moments because she actually needed to sign out and then back in. So we're waiting for her to sign back in. I think. Let's give her like 2-3 minutes to see if she signs in. And thank you for being patient and waiting for us, waiting for her to return. She got my message, so she's signing back in.
Okay.
Okay, not sure what happened.
I'm sorry.
But anyway, do you have women out? So we're going to keep moving. Do you
Yeah.
have women outside of Illinois that are a part of the WATS group?
Yes. Yeah. We do have women that are not in Illinois that are part of the group who have been we call it tagged. So they'll tag them and then they'll add them in the group and then they'll follow us as well. Yes, we
Okay,
do.
and I think that's wonderful. And then my other question is this: have you thought about reaching outside of Illinois? Or if you haven't, do you think that there will come a point in time where you will reach outside of Illinois, see what other groups are out there that are set up like yours as a women's support group, so that together you could collaborate to bring about more, to bring more women into the fray?
Yeah. Um, if I didn't think about it, I'm thinking about it now. I never thought about that. I just felt like this was going to be a small platform for me, a healing process for myself as well as other women. Um, but honestly, you're not the first person that has made me feel as though the vision that I have can be bigger than what I think it should be, you know. And I'm open for it. I'm open to do the work. I am encouraged by other women to help me move this forward. And yeah, other support groups that would be willing to collaborate and us work together to do things just to help other women move forward. Absolutely. I'm all in.
Okay. I see
Hmm.
that Dr. C has put down here, we going international. She doesn't know what I told you before.
Can you tell her that, please? Because I couldn't wait to get off the phone to call her and tell her that. Can
Yes,
you
so
tell her that?
Dr. C, she is absolutely, the Watts group is actually absolutely going international. I am actually sending this link out to my counterpart who is in the United Kingdom, and she will be sharing this with her group. So this will in fact be going out. You guys will in fact be international because guess what? This, this whatever women go through, right? It's a patient issue. It's a patient issue because if they're going through it and they're struggling or they're going through it and they actually have, no one at by their side, it makes it extremely difficult for them to overcome it. They don't know what
Yeah.
to do. They feel, once again, they feel like giving up. There's no hope there. So
Hmm.
you guys are going international. I'm going to be sending this out, and I'm, hopeful that we will, in fact, be, that women all over the world, not just here in
Yes.
the United States, as I've been saying from the beginning, right? Black
Yes.
History Month, or I should say, Black Health and History Month. we're touching upon the African American experience, but
Mm-hmm.
these issues that we're touching upon, they're not just for one group of people. They're
It's
for
not.
all of us.
All of them.
However,
Yes.
this is the month that we need to take it upon ourselves to do what our
Yes.
ancestors were not allowed to do without fear of being, heck, we just saw, we just saw The Color Purple, the remake of The Color
Yeah.
Purple. We
Yeah.
saw, we saw what happened when a woman
Mm-hmm.
spoke up. We
Yeah.
saw what happened when a woman spoke against her husband or was out in public. We saw what happened. So this is an issue that has been going on in our community for such a
For
long time
years.
that
For
we have
years.
got to stop sitting back and saying, okay, well, this is happening and such needs to fix this issue. No, no, no. Such
Mm-hmm.
and such don't need to fix that issue. We need to all come together and fix that issue. If it
Yes.
takes, if your group is doing something and it's touching one person, just one person,
One person.
your goal of doing what God has in store for you to do has been done. Of course,
Yes.
you want to touch even more, but your initial goal should be if I could just touch one
One
person
person.
every time we meet or every
And
time we speak in this group. I can touch one person and change
person.
one person's life.
And you
You
know
just,
what, Miss Washington? My dad used to always say this, even when he was on his deathbed. He told me, he said, if you can help one person in your lifetime, he said, then your living is not in vain. And now that I'm older and he's gone, I understood what he was talking about. Even when I would hear him say it when I was a kid, I never knew what that really meant. I'm like, what is he saying? If he can touch one person in his lifetime, I didn't understand that. But now that I'm a lot older, seasoned, been through some things, I get it. And you're absolutely right. Just one person. And if I can go back to what I said before about being a leader, that sometimes it can become disheartening and discouraging when you don't get the support that you need. But what I've noticed, even on social media, even if a person doesn't like what I say, you can still see how many people viewed and watched it. So that means people are watching, but they may not be liking it or clicking that button. And that's fine, because I still want to get the message out. I still want to get them engaged and to keep them encouraged, because there are a lot of women that may not want to share their story because they're shy, because they may be embarrassed. And it took me a minute to get here. There were times, even when I was separated, that I couldn't talk about how much of a failure that I felt that I was, because my marriage was not a success. What woman wants to get a divorce? No one ever gets married to get divorced, And so it took me a long time to get where I am, with a lot of prayer, a whole lot of prayer, you know. But realizing and knowing that the journey that God has given me is my own, and I know that He's been with me every step of the way. But that platform is for another time, because I'll get happy in a minute.
but you know what? And you're so true in what you say. And this is the thing, right? We have women out here that are going through the process that you just spoke about is real. We have women
Mm-hmm.
that are going through, especially in the African American community, who
Yeah.
are afraid
Yes. They're afraid.
afraid to speak up because
Mm-hmm.
they don't know what's going to happen on the other end. So
Yeah.
they're very, very, very afraid. So
Mm-hmm.
having a group such as WATS that will actually say, hey, here we are.
Right.
We're inclusive. We don't, go out and, we don't share your information. When you're
Absolutely.
ready, you'll talk about it. If you
Mm-hmm.
want to cry, go ahead and cry. We're not
Mm-hmm.
tell you don't come in because you're Catholic, you're Muslim, you're Buddhist, you're whatever. We accept
Right.
all of you to come in. We,
Absolutely.
you know, and you're right, Dr. C, it's a safe space for people. It's a
Yes.
safe space for women who need that safe space. And women,
Yes.
look, our kids learn from our behavior.
Oh,
So we
yes.
have to, at some point in time, sit back and seriously think about the type of behavior that we're exhibiting, right, in front
Yes.
of our children. Are we timid? Are we scared? Are they seeing us going at bed at night with tears and crying and getting
Mm-hmm.
up, look like we about 110 years old when we only 20 something, but we do
Drained.
it because we don't know where we can go to for help, right? We
Yeah.
don't know there's a safe spot. We don't know how
Yes.
to get to safe spot. Once
Mm-hmm.
again, back to our ancestors, they didn't have social media.
No.
They didn't have it. They didn't
Mm-mm.
have it. So there was no
Mm-mm.
place to go to let out their frustrations or to
Mm-hmm.
get some additional help. Many didn't have money to pay a therapist or pay a doctor to go to the doctor. So they
Right.
sat with that and it ate at them and ate at them and ate at
Mm-hmm.
them. Well, now
Mm-hmm.
we have social media. And
Yes.
now we are seasoned. Now we've been through it, right?
Some, yes,
So now
yes, yes.
we need to share what we've been through. We have
Mm-hmm.
excellent access to share what we've been through. And Dr. C, you are correct. For those who are Christians, they talk to Jesus. But what happens to those women that wasn't Christians? Who are they
Yeah.
talking to? Whatever spiritual entity they were talking to, you are correct. They were talking. And we need to keep that talking going, right?
Absolutely.
I thank you so much for once again sharing this because we need
Yes.
to know this. Those of us that are in the audience or those that are at home or wherever you are when you're watching this video, if you know someone that actually does need help, you see them struggling, but you like, they ain't gonna talk to me, right? If they're your family members, a lot of times we don't want to listen to our family members because we think they don't understand us or
Right.
we think they're gonna pass judgment. So they don't want to
Judgment.
talk to
We're
their
judgment
family
free
members.
over here. Yeah, we're
Right,
judgment free. Mm-hmm.
right. So you going to someone that's not your family and that's been through what you've been through and
Yeah.
that can help you. So
Mhm.
reach out.
Yeah.
I say this all the time in everything that Sandra L does. Each one, reach one, teach one. And we
I
keep
like
that
that.
going. Don't just reach out and say, okay, well, I reached that person, I'm done. No, reach
Mm-hmm.
out. And when you reach out, say, okay, I encourage you to use what I'm telling you to, if you don't use it, at least tell somebody else about it. Share the good news. Share
You're
the
right.
good,
Share the good
right?
news.
And,
Absolutely. And
and this,
I wanted to piggyback off of what you said in reference to children. Now, earlier in the interview, I mentioned that I had 3 kids. And I knew that the way my marriage was going, that one thing I had to get back in school. Okay. And two, I wanted them to know that the way I was being treated, especially with daughters, is not how I wanted them to be treated with men. And I wanted my son to know this is not how you treat a woman. So when I knew that my marriage was failing, I got back in school. I worked on my associate's degree that I have in medical billing and coding. I worked on my undergrad, and that's in healthcare management. And then I finished up with my master's in business administration. So I took the responsibility to say, you know what? I'm either going to make it with him or without him. And I chose to make it without him because I knew 3 people were watching me, which were my children. So I had to make a stand for myself and say, you know what, Charnel, you're going to have to figure out how to do this. You can, and you got to move forward because your kids are watching you. You're very right about that. They definitely were. Now, to this day, do they admit it? Of course not. They're teenagers, but we have had conversations about things that had happened in the past and things that they experienced. And I knew for myself that I wanted to create a space for them. And sometimes women are afraid to be on their own because they solely depend on that husband or that man to take care of them. And I told myself I'd rather be broke by myself, but have a
mm,
peace of mind and make it with my children on my own, and I've been fine. God has truly been good to me. I have no complaints even about my journey and the things I experienced because it's made me stronger as a woman. And I've learned my strengths and my weaknesses from being in certain situations and my back being up against the wall, and I'm coming out swinging because I got to figure out the next move on what I have to do, you know. Um, so my children are definitely um, my biggest cheerleaders, and I know that they watch me. even with the bad. I definitely am that type of parent that if I'm wrong, I'll tell them, you know what, I maybe shouldn't have done that. I should have did this. Because as women who are in a marriage or in a relationship or having children, we don't get a manual. We don't get a cliff notes telling us how we're supposed to raise kids. What are we supposed to do in our marriage? We don't get any of that stuff. All we get is here it is. This is life. Now you figure it out, you know. But I do believe that groups and women coming together would just help each other on their journey, because everyone has an individual journey. But if you can sit and talk to other women to encourage you, will just even help you a lot more.
And you're so true about that. And
Hmm.
once again, that's the importance of the women after the storm group, is that
Hmm.
you offer that for them. You didn't have that, right? I'm blessed in the fact that I didn't need to have that. You
Right.
didn't have that. And in your in your marriage and with your marriage, you didn't have that, right? But you
Hmm.
had that support. You were able
Yeah.
to get that support. And you
Hmm.
know how important that support is for those women
Hmm.
who don't know, who,
Right.
every day they like waking up like so stressed because of the fact
And
that
drain.
the
Yeah.
marriage isn't working. They don't know what to do. They, got the kids, and you're hearing story after story on the news about these women who are committing suicide or who
Yes,
are,
killing their
you know,
children, all of
right.
that.
And it's coming because of the fact that while these groups exist, and especially in our community, it's not common knowledge.
Right.
No one's saying, you know what, here you can go, here's a place that you can go to, they'll help you. Because
Hmm.
one, we ourselves, we had to, sometimes take the blame for stuff. We ourselves have grown up knowing, well, you don't talk about this, or you don't,
Right.
that subject is taboo. You don't talk about this, or at least not out loud, right? You keep
Exactly.
that to yourself. Well, no,
Hmm.
it's come a different days and times are different. You can't continue to keep to yourself
Listen,
like that.
and you know what? I had mentioned that earlier because it's like, like you said, in our community, it's like a plague.
Right.
And the first thing that our parents would tell us, well, you just go to God in prayer and leave it there. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's the reason why God put certain people in this world to help us,
Right.
which are therapists, and I've been to my therapist. I used to think that I didn't need one, because I felt that, oh, it'll just go away, or I sweep it under the rug. But when I knew that I would wake up depressed and sad and crying for no reason, and taking things out on my children that they didn't deserve, I knew then that I needed therapy. And it's not all the time that I go, but when I'm to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed, the resource at my job, I call them, and then they set up an appointment, and then I have someone to talk to. And then, I go on a couple of more months if I need therapy again. But I just want to stress how important it is to get therapy, and there's nothing wrong with it for any woman to feel ashamed if they need it.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's, it's something. If you need it, you need to take advantage of it. For those who are not working and maybe like, okay, well, she's saying for her job, but I don't have a job, so how do I get
Mhm.
this done? There are a number of resources that are available to you. You can get
Mhm.
those resources by calling 211.com. You can go on and get better health. You can contact, now that you know that Charms Medi Helps is available, and this is what we do, is help find resources. You can contact us and say, hey, I need help. Can you help me with this? There
Mhm.
are a number of schools that actually do student work, do student
Mhm.
study, and will charge you on a sliding fee scale. So if you
Oh
don't
wow.
have any money and you go to them, guess what? It's free. There are
Wow.
federally health
Yeah.
qualified centers located throughout each and every state. They, once
Mhm.
again, are there to help you. So there are definitely resources, and you definitely shouldn't have to feel as though you're going through this alone. You shouldn't be going
Absolutely.
through this alone. We have,
Absolutely.
Dr. C says again, I am my sister's keeper. You are
Yes.
correct. Actually, Dr. C, we are each other's keeper, whether it's sister or brother. We are each other's keeper. And
Mm-hmm.
being each other's keeper, what that means is that I'm my brother's keeper. So if I see my brother stepping down the line with a sister, or I see my
Yes.
son stepping out the line with a young lady, I'm going to
Yes.
ask him, call him to task on that so that he's reminded of his responsibility, especially in this community, to take care of the women, not to beat
Yes.
them down, not to berate them. We are to be taken care of. And in
Absolutely.
taking care of us, that means that if you see somebody step out of line, call them to task. Call them to
Mm-hmm.
task. You're not saying that you seeing your son, your brother, your cousin, your uncle, whoever, a male
Yes.
is in your life. You seeing that person disrespect a black woman, you are just responsible for her feeling guilty and
Mm-hmm.
at ease
Mm-hmm.
as the man is. Because you
Yes.
sitting there letting them do. And you can say something. Can you stop it? Well,
No.
sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But you
Mm-hmm.
still need to say something. You need to
Yes.
bring it up. You need to mention
Mm-hmm.
it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot continue to walk down that road, down that path, right?
You're
Without
right.
opening your mouth and saying anything. And
Absolutely.
us as sisters, we got a responsibility too. We see our sisters struggling, especially
Mm-hmm.
another African American queen. We see
Yes.
her struggling. We should
Mm-hmm.
not be in competition with them. We
Not
should
at
be
all.
saying, sister, how can I help
Can I
you?
help you?
What do
Mm-hmm.
you need? All of
Yes.
this berating each other and bringing each other down and beating
It
each
has
other
to
up.
stop. It has to
How are
stop.
we going to uprise?
Yeah.
How are we going to uprise out of the mire and the muck that we are stuck in? It's just not going
Mm-hmm.
to happen. It's not.
Especially with our younger generation of young ladies. And I have two of them, and I stay on them about, feeling prideful about who they are,
Hmm.
um, even to the clothes that they wear, you know. Um, and I know that it comes from me first. And my daughter had told, and she mentioned this to me. She said, "You know what, Mom?" She said, "The conversations that we have and how you talk to us, I'm very transparent with my kids. I don't sugarcoat anything. I would rather tell them the raw truth than for them to get misinformed information from someone else out in the streets." And she was like, "A lot of these young girls can't talk to their parents or their mother. So it leaves other young ladies that are their peers to tell them the wrong information or to get information from someone that doesn't care about them. So then what do we do about those young women, because they're coming up behind us, you know? So I think we have a lot of work to do in our community with ourselves
We
and with the younger women coming behind us.
we most certainly do. And I have Carolyn Coleman. She says, each one, reach one, teach one. Carolyn,
Yeah.
you know that's my motto. Do not stop at reaching one. Take that one that you have reached and tell that one that you have reached, look, you need to go tell your friends about it. Whoever it is,
Yeah.
right? And
Hmm.
we have Jewel Dukes that says, yes, she's agreeing with this conversation that we're having. And you
Yes.
know what? You just said something very important, Charnel, that we all need to remember, right? And we all need to carry out. And that is this, right? We have to, we have to move it forth, right? We
Yes.
have to come together. We have to actually move forth what's going on in this community. We can't stop.
Yes.
It's
We
like no
can't.
stop, can't stop, no
That's
stop.
right.
No, the yellow school bus gonna keep on
Keep
going.
going.
We're not, but you know what you say, you know what, young women, and that would be a good, I encourage you. I can't make you do it, but I
Yeah.
encourage you to actually take Watts, right? And look
Hmm.
at what Watts is doing for the women because our young
Uh-huh.
women need help as well. Start
Yes.
getting into the high schools, start getting into the junior high schools, showing
Hmm.
the ladies this is how you should be. This is
Yes.
this is what you should expect. This is what expectation is everything. If
Even
they
in
don't know because
relationships
they
with
have
men.
nobody to
Yeah.
talk to, if they
Hmm.
know Watts is available, because you guys are, you ladies are giving out your cards and saying, here, if you have a young lady that needs our help, we all need mentors. all of
Yes.
us be
That's a
mentors.
good
So
idea.
being a mentor for the younger women
Mm,
that are coming up, that's
mm.
an excellent spot for you guys, for you ladies to be. I keep saying you guys, for you ladies to be in, is actually being able to be a mentor for them. Here's my
That would be
link
a
to
great idea. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm
right?
gonna
Here's
use
where
that.
you start.
Hmm.
So I would seriously suggest and encourage you to actually get into the high schools, passing out cards saying, hey, this is a service we offer. Can we come
Hmm.
in and speak to the girls in your school or the young ladies in your
Yeah,
school so that we can share our information? Because you never know. If
you're
they're
right.
young ladies and they're at home and they're seeing this, what they're gonna do when they get out in the real world?
Yes.
No, and they
Yes.
don't know where they can go. They don't have your card. They have no idea where they can go.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right.
Hmm. You're
I
right.
thank you. I really, really do thank you because I know you
No
had a ton of
problem.
things to do. I know
We all do.
we've been battling it out, as far
Yes.
as trying to get this on LinkedIn. The link will go up
Yes.
on LinkedIn and other links as well. There are other places as well. But in closing out, there's a couple of things I want you to do. One of the things that I would like for you to do is to actually tell us all how do we, 'cause now you are outside of Illinois, so if there's somebody else that lives in Timbuktu,
Right.
and they need
Right.
to actually outreach you. That person living in Timbuktu. So if you're listening and you live in Timbuktu and you're like, I need help, or my friend needs help, somebody needs help. How do they outreach you? Like, where do they find you on Facebook, since that's your primary social media platform right now? How do they find you on Facebook, or do you guys have do you ladies have a website? How do they reach out to WATS?
So, if anyone is looking to even talk to me to give them resources with women that I actually have in the group that can help them, it's my first name, my maiden name, and my last name, which is Charnell Conley Baxter on Facebook. And then the Watts group is private. I would have to add them privately because of the content of sensitivity of what goes on in the group. But just, I'm sorry, my dog. I should have put him up before I did this. He's ready for me to get off of here, okay? Because now he's getting ready to play with his toy. But just through Facebook, which would be my name, which is Charnell Conley Baxter.
Okay. And so
Uh-huh.
that's how you would actually be able to reach out to her. Once again, if you're looking at this video at some later time, or even if you're looking at this video on the day that it's actually being aired live, which is
Yeah.
February 24th, and you want to reach out to her, please drop me a line on LinkedIn, drop me a line on Facebook, say, Sandra, we would love to speak to her. We would love to have her speak to our community. And so
Yes.
that we can actually get her, I can actually get back in touch with her and actually
Yes.
let him be on camera, Sean.
Okay.
Don't be trying to
He
hush
is,
him up.
he is, he is
He's
really
a
cutting up
look. He's
because
a
I have
kid
his
too.
toy because it makes too much noise. Here. He's just cutting up for real. He got out of the
Women,
room with my
we
daughter.
gotta do what we gotta do, right?
Yes, yes. It doesn't stop. It never stops. Never,
So
never.
please reach out to me. I would love to get you in contact with Charnel, with the Watts group. Once again, it's a safe spot for all women,
It really is.
especially our African American sisters and queens. And you're out there and you need help, please reach out, because we would rather help you than see you be a statistic
Struggle. Absolutely.
on the news where we lost another woman or another, whatever. We don't want that
Yes,
to happen. We want to actually be able to help you in any way possible. So before
absolutely.
you sign out, Charnel, take that
Mhm.
very pretty infectious smile that you have and leave us with 3 tips that you want every woman that is watching this or will be watching this to actually know.
Okay. Hold on one second. Ace.
Okay.
Ashley. Ashley. Okay, I'm gonna put him up here. Ruby. Come here. Can you come get him so I can finish this, please? Here. Take him outside so I can be done.
Look, he wanted to be on this video
He
too.
did. He really did. Okay, take him out upstairs now. Okay, can you tell me that one more time, please? Now I'm
I
back.
want you to put on that pretty smile of yours, and I want you to tell us 2 or 3 tips that you want us to walk away from this conversation that we've had tonight.
Okay, so the 3 tips and the things that I would want any woman that sees this to be encouraged with is to know that you are first of all, you're your biggest cheerleader. You are your biggest fan, and you are the one that has to encourage yourself to get through any storm that you're actually in. My second tip is to know that whatever situation that you're in, you can always get out of it. And even Miss Washington, you had mentioned the resources that are out there. And there's nothing wrong with finding resources to help you. And I honestly feel that a lot of times young ladies or even older women feel as though that they, may not want to, or like we mentioned before, they may be embarrassed or afraid. I think the hardest part is actually getting over that hump or that step to move forward for healing. And my third tip would just be you. And before I get off of here, if you'll allow me, at the end of any video that I do in my group, and the model that I have is not just for underneath the actual logo, but it's something that I came up with because I believe that it will encourage us. So anytime I get off of my platform when we are talking, this is what I say. And remember, we are empowering queens, uplifting, rebuilding, and restoring one woman at a time. Now you go out there and you have yourself a good day with God and tag a queen, okay? Because we are WATS. Be blessed.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much.
Miss
And with that
Washington.
being said, I am going to
Yes.
go ahead and close out for this
Yes.
evening. Please be mindful. Today is day 24. Tomorrow is day 25. And we will be coming back tomorrow with Maurice Henry, who will be covering mental health as it
Okay.
applies to men. So this was
Awesome.
our ladies, and we're gonna top that off with our men, and together we're gonna make this a community that works well together.
Yeah,
So thank you
absolutely.
so much, and everyone
Thank you
have
for
the
having
rest
me.
of a good day. You're
You
welcome.
too. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye bye.